Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my fellow hitman,
Mike Cunningham.
and we are the Meddling Kids. And we like to review movies. And today we'll be reviewing The Killer, right?
Yes.
The Killer. Yes, our grammar was Killer or The Killer. I can't read all backwards. I can't read that. The Killer, 2023 with Michael Fassbender. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. It's great to have you here. For those of you who have come back, you're a boys blue. But yeah, so we like to review movies and we will never spoil anything for the first, let's call it 10, 15 minutes. We're going to give a 0 to 5 spoiler-free review with our overall thoughts on the movie. From there, we'll give you some background on the movie and then our play-by-play. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't fret. We won't spoil anything yet. But 0 to 5, Mike, The Killer. Are you ready?
Yes.
What'd you give it?
4.
Okay.
Straight out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously knowing David Fincher and like how he approaches filmmaking, you can very much see that in the story here, which was like, I think it was interesting to see, to get into the mind of somebody who is a perfectionist or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think the cinematography for this one was great. It looked amazing. Oftentimes monologuing can get annoying, or the narration, but I think this was because it was based on a graphic novel or a book or something.
I think, the comics. Graphic novels.
So it's just like that monologuing made sense. All that voiceover made sense. It was like you are in the head of this killer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I loved everything about this. Michael Fassbender. It was like, it sucks that his filmography doesn't speak to his how much.
Hey man, he was Magneto. All right, come on, man's Magneto. That's cool. All right.
He was also Harry Hole in Snowman. So and in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, fair.
Oftentimes his filmography doesn't speak to how great of an actor he is, but I think this one just nailed it.
Yeah.
It was just I loved every part of this movie. Like it was very interesting to see too, like the current day technology utilized in a film. I think we often see it with like coming of age films with like modern technology and like the going viral and like social media and stuff like that. But seeing how modern technology is used in the world of assassins was very interesting. I don't know, just getting into his head, it was great. His precision, his mantras. Even when he fucks up, he was like, there's no adapting. It's always stick to the plan, anticipate, don't improvise and things like I don't know. It's just everything about this film was great.
Yeah, I completely agree. He literally broke his rule the entire movie. He's just like,
but as he says he didn't.
Yeah, but he's like, we don't improvise. All you're doing is improvising, sir. But yes, fair.
And I think this one was nice because there was a certain subtlety. So it is it's supposed to be like, you see action films all the you've seen assassin films all the time, so they're more action heavy, and this had action in it, but I think it was more the other side of being an assassin and how you do. There is you follow, execution is key in a way. So like, and somebody said that this possibly had one of the rivals, one of the greatest, one of the best fight scenes of the year.
Okay,
comparing it to like John Wick, with the hand-to-hand combat with that scene with the Brute, which was
which was great. Amazing. It was visceral. That was a brutal fight.
But it was, I think, every part of this movie I loved. I put off watching it for a while because I didn't want to. I just wanted to watch it and not take notes.
Fair.
And it was like, but because I put it off for so long, we had to do it today. Like I had to sit and watch it and take notes. So it is definitely something I'm going to watch again just to sit and enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I like I said, I just loved everything about this movie. Like a great little, like a last came out at the end of the year, and it was like a little bit like Jim. Yeah, I really enjoyed.
So why aren't you giving it a 4.5?
I don't know. I feel like it's because of the fact that like some of Fincher's other films, and actually it might go up to a 4.5.
Okay.
I'm just definitely starting at a 4.
Fair. Yeah.
I know that. But yeah, it definitely has room to go up. Like like I said, I literally just, as you said here, I was finishing the film.
Yeah.
So like I am still in the remnants of it.
Okay.
So like and I never got to talk to anybody about it. So like
fair.
Once we talk about it, it possibly can go up. It's to me, it's good enough of a film where it was just like the ceiling is very high.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But yeah, so 4 for me for now.
All right, 4 for Mike. Not to sound redundant, I'm also giving it a 4. It's a great movie. And I really like what you said of seeing like the difference. Because you do get like the John Wicks, the Equalizers, all of this of like, it's so much more action heavy versus this. If you look at it, there's 1, 2, 3, like 4 kills, 5 kills. There's 5 kills in this entire movie. So it's not as like a huge kill fest of a movie, but you 100% see the mentality of this man, and you get him. I love the monologuing. It was very reminiscent of like the American Psycho, Taxi Driver, only he's a hitman. Right, so this is a profession to like let you see inside that.
And also, what I love is obviously this is basically a revenge.
Yes,
but it was like you didn't see him on a rampage per se.
Yeah,
he was still utilizing his skill set as an assassin. That same thing. This was just another job for him, and he still approached it that same way. Like you said, he did break his own rules at times and fumble. Yeah, but he was still following that same meticulous formula on a job, and I think I appreciated that too because once again, you see this cop going on a revenge or something like that, and it's always like he's unleashing like nothing but rage, but it's just very much a controlled rage. Yeah, some of the people that he killed, I was like, "Do you have to?" Like,
especially the one.
I was like, "Do you really have to?" But sorry, I interrupted.
No, absolutely. And also, it's 6 kills, not 5. There was an extra one I missed when I counted. But yeah, no, I. Again, reiterating, seeing inside the mentality is great. You get that nice, cold, calculated monologue all the way through this. Great movie. I'd say highly recommend. Michael Fassbender did a phenomenal job. You really think about it. I mean, it's not like a huge cast.
No, not at all.
But everyone that was in it did great. And it's like a calm, cool, collected burn the entire time. It's intense. And you get that intensity because of his performance and because of how he's portraying himself. And I will say it was interesting. The soundtrack, the Smiths. I mean, he was just constantly listening to depressing music, man. The Smiths is depressing as shit. Good music, but they have a lot of depressing songs.
I saw because I watched it with subtitles on. So like I saw when he was in Florida at some point, and somebody drove past, and it said the name of the song in a different artist. I was like, "How dare you?" But then I realized it wasn't him playing it. It was somebody else.
Someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like I saw nothing but the Smiths, the Smiths.
Which I've listened to the Smiths a lot, but that's also been during sadder periods of my life. So hey, but I'm completely agreeing. 4 out of 5. Definitely watch this movie. It is violent, but it's not as violent. As other movies
honestly, I was curious about that too, but no, I didn't lean into the violence. I think it was more about the story and his journey to finances.
Yeah, and that just the mentality of this and getting a peek inside the man. It's believable. Like I'm like, hey. A person who's a hitman, I could 100% believe that this is how they talk to themselves the entire time. So 4 out of 5 for me, 4 out of 5 for Mike. Watch this movie. All right, Mike, let's get some background.
Okay, so The Killer was released on November 10th, 2023. I think it had maybe a week or so run in theaters and then went right to Netflix.
Yeah. That way it can, because it needs like the run in theaters for the Academy Awards and whatnot. Yeah.
So is that what it is?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, a lot of these movies they need a little bit of time in theaters, I think, so that way they can be it's possible for them to get awards.
Okay, now that makes sense. Sorry, the runtime is 1 hour and 59 minutes, this was paced fairly, even though it was like a slow burn. It's still paced well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There might have been times truly where it's like, okay, your little stretches, they're going.
Well, it's just like he arrives somewhere, gets supplies, surveillance, and then Yeah, so you're right. It did get a little bit formulaic, but like I said, I think I enjoyed seeing him still, even though he was pissed the fuck off.
Yep, absolutely.
And raging, he was still sticking to a formula, right?
And 100%. Even like with those scenes that might have been going along, the voiceover of him narrating what his thought process is, why he's doing this, etc., did make it like okay, 100%.
The budget, I couldn't find anything on the budget side. Okay. I apologize for that.
At least 2 nickels. Definitely at least 2 nickels.
The box office, since it only had a limited run, it was only 400,000.
Okay, yeah.
But obviously, it was strictly for the maybe awards consideration. So not necessarily worried about making its money because it was going right to Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix is fine with losing money constantly. I don't know how or why, but they are.
The Rotten Tomatoes as of today is an 86 for critics and a 59 for the audience, which was really surprising.
I bet the audience might think it's too boring.
Okay.
Yeah. If they don't see 2 big
but even
things smashing into each other.
You look at like a Fight Club and Zodiac and Seven. Like this is Fincher's storytelling, right?
Fair.
It's more cerebral. He's not going to give you. Now he did once again. It was like I said, that fight scene, even though it was really only the one that they had.
Yeah.
It was choreographed very well. Like it was worth the lead up to it and everything like that. So, but it was like that's just not that director. But so I don't know what people were expecting going in.
Yeah, I don't know honestly. Yeah, I am
because I guess a lot, like I said, a lot of assassin stories are shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, fair. So maybe they were expecting something more like that. Maybe they were, I don't know, too alpha male mentality through the movie with the monologuing and stuff, but I don't really think there was that thing either. I don't know. But yeah.
So a 59 for audience, 86 for critics. The genre is action, mystery, thriller. The director was David Fincher, who had obviously previously helmed Alien 3, 7, The Game, Fight Club, Zodiac, Social Network, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Gone Girl. Like we said before, this was based on
I forgot he did Gone Girl.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I forgot
honestly.
he did Gone
I'm
Girl.
not saying I could see it.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's what I'm liking now after doing these, like doing the podcast. I am noticing different staples from different directors.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I always make fun of Spike Lee for the dolly shot and heavy trumpet.
Yeah. Well, does that make sense? Yeah, because then David Fincher 100% is that monologue narration and everything going on. Because I think it's still with Gone Girl of him like stroking his wife's head and being like, I don't know if she's still crazy, gonna kill me. And then she just looks up at him. I'm like, oh. Yeah.
So it's like, that's what I'm saying. It was just like when I read that, I was like, oh, I see it.
Yeah.
He has a style.
That's his thing. Yeah.
So the cast starring Michael Fassbender as the killer, Tilda Swinton as the expert, Charles Parnell as the lawyer, Arliss Howard as the client, Salah Barker as the brute, Gabriel Polanco as Leo, and Kerry O'Malley as Dolores. So like you said, very, very tiny cast. The tagline was "Execution is everything," and
great movie. It's execution's everything. I'm just fail at executing a lot in this movie.
Executed people. He did. It was a little double entendre. And that's the background.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Before we get into some of our play-by-play and spoilers, quick word from sponsors. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Edward Hunt. I'm on the Just Be team with Compass. I'm a real estate agent, and I work in the DMV, so it's D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Personally, I'm Maryland and D.C., but other guys on my team are Virginia. So whenever anything Virginia comes, I send it to them. They send me Maryland stuff, etc. But first and foremost, we're really here for all your real estate needs. So if you need any advice on the market, feel free to reach out anytime. If you need some phenomenal contractors, handyman, I just had a great electrician that I had do some work today. They were phenomenal. So if you'd like any of those contacts, please feel free to reach out. And if you need to contact any lenders for HELOCs, refinancing, loans, etc., feel free anytime. Also, great thing with Compass is we're a nationwide brokerage. So no matter where you are in America, we can help you with all your real estate needs. Then also, I'm a comic book writer. So Evil is a Weapon issue 1 is on Global Comics. They don't tell you when you're a writer how to set up an online store, that it takes an hour to ship all these comics that people order and all this stuff. It's a lot of fly by your pants, but I have physical copies if you'd like to have some. It's on Global Comics digitally as well. And I'd love for everyone to check it out and read it because it was a lot of fun to make and we're hard at work on issue 2. All right, now let's get into some play-by-play. So we're going to get into some spoiler territory here, y'all. How does this movie pick up? What's going on?
So this movie started. First of all, I even enjoyed the the opening credits or whatever with the names and it was very, very graphic, but not in a it was visceral or anything like that. It was just very sharp.
Yeah.
With different, it's bringing in the names and some guns and things like that. From the jump, I was like, "Oh, I'll fuck with this."
Yeah.
And then so we get introduced to the killer, played by Michael Fassbender. He's just sitting in a room. It's not a complete room in a building or anything like that. And he's just sitting in a chair, staring out of a window.
Yeah.
And then this is where you start with the opening, the monologue of him just walking through his thought process. He's obviously sitting there waiting for a client. He's been waiting for a while. You don't know how long at this point.
Yeah.
He's constantly checking his watch and looking over at a certain window, a certain penthouse window across the way. And then he looks down to the street, and you kind of see this mindset of a killer, or at least this killer.
Yeah.
Right. Because we've seen what is it from No Country for Old Men, that killer, certain
relentless,
people,
just coming for you,
or they how they view the world. And it was with him, and you'll see this later in the film too. He was just saying it's just a job,
he's a motherfucking professional.
Yeah,
that's what he is. It's what he does.
The first thing I wrote was meticulous.
Yes,
that was it. It was just he was very much he's working out, keeping himself in shape. He has all these statistics about the population and this dog sizes and just random things just random facts that he knows in order to make his job a lot easier, or in order to better do his job.
For sure.
But obviously you find a formula. He has certain creeds and mantras that he constantly repeats. One of our favorite being what was it? Anticipate, don't improvise.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm getting it tatted. I don't care.
There you go. Hey, right across the chest. Yeah.
Forehead.
Oh shit! All
Right next to the no regrets.
We got a badass over here.
That's what the kids are doing. But yeah, so we see him in this room, and he's just walking you through his mindset.
Yeah.
And it was like from the jump, I really love this because even though it was exhibition, it's a little bit different because it is voiceover in his head.
Mm-hmm. And I loved it just because, like, as for me, it's like I'm a hunter, right? So, like, it reminded me of, like, deer hunting, of, like, sitting in a blind and you aren't moving. And he's even talking about, like, oh, you get cold because you're sitting there, so you have a heater. So, to have a heater. That's
the first thing I noticed. Like, I saw him sitting on a chair, legs crossed, looking out, and the heater right next to him. Yep. So, it's obviously, like, this isn't his first, like, he knows.
Yeah. Because you're sitting there, you're not moving. And when you're not moving, your body's not producing heat. So, you're just there. And you get stiff. So, that's why with all their stretches, everything just needed to stretch out, do stuff. Very meticulous, very patient.
But I think I just really enjoyed this introduction to the character. And like I said, normally or not normally, sometimes narration can just get over the top. Mm-hmm. But I think this one was like just very, and also maybe just the way his voice was. It was very much not indifferent. Yeah. But it was very much like middle of the line. Yeah, like
very even.
Factual.
Yep,
like
exactly.
He's not overly going to be overly emotional. Even like when you see what happens, later on, he's never gets overly emotional. That's a very even tone
for sure
with the narration, which was like welcoming. Mm-hmm. We see him leave for a bit to take a call, and he calls the handler, and this is when we found out he's been like waiting for 5 days. Yeah, and they're just like, his handler's like, the deal.
But he's like, bitch, I'm bored. Yeah, like, sir, I am bored as fuck right now. I can only be here for so long. Yeah,
and so. So he goes back upstairs, continues waiting. Mm-hmm. There's an incident where like somebody's at the door. Yes. And you see he's sitting in like a WeWork office that hasn't been furnished or like completed. Yeah. Or whatever. And then like a guy comes in. So like he has a sniper, not even a Glock or anything like that. Yeah. Sniper rifle pointing at the dude, but the guy doesn't fully come in. You see he has the not booby trap, but he has sensors. Yep. So that nobody can like walk up on him. And this just goes further. This is one, he's a professional, and so, and I guess maybe it is being a hunter. And I think that's interesting. Obviously we'll hear a story later. But yeah, the guy comes in, dropped off the mail, doesn't come in.
Yep.
He goes back,
tucks it in.
He goes back to what he's doing. And then like finally, after all this waiting, we don't know how long he's been waiting, but he sees an opportunity. Like his alarm goes off because obviously he's been surveilling this place for a while. Yeah. And so
I think even what he's doing, he doesn't get like a full night's sleep ever. He gets like micro naps or some shit. Mm-hmm. It's like constant, like every 3 minutes, wake me up so I can look again. Yeah. I don't know the exact time. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so he gets a beep at his on his watch. He looks over and he sees that when the maid for the target has finally opened the blind.
Yes.
And so he's like, perfect. So he prepares his gun. Mm-hmm. And this is where you get him thinking about like from this distance, you need to aim at this, like the plexiglass won't affect it and stuff like that. And it was like, these are the things that you have to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I said, it was just very interesting to get that introspection from the main character.
Yeah, 100%. There's all this buildup. All this thing is like the plexiglass won't affect it once that's it. And I'm not going to say anything yet, but I'm just going to say there's a lot of buildup. And I was like, I know what's about to happen.
And so we see at the penthouse across the way, the target is there. He has like security, a maid, and then his entertainment for that evening is like a dominatrix woman.
Yeah.
And so like she's walking around. The client was in the hallway, and then he goes to sit on the couch. And it was like, okay, this is the perfect moment. And then like the dominatrix is like kind of standing in front of the client, and then she kind of walks away, and he's at the perfect moment. Yeah. But as he goes to fire, she kind of quickly moves back. Yeah. And just the bullet hits her instead of the client.
100%. I'm like, sure, that was not a perfect shot. I was like, you've just this entire time he's preached patience. Yeah. And I'm like, and that's the shot you took? Why would you take that shot? Yeah, okay, she's a foot to the left. No, you dumbass. Wait like 30 more seconds. Yeah, movie's in a movie, but yeah, that was a whole thing. Yeah, and I'm not like, obviously, it was a really cool scene. It's a really cool effect, but he was like preaching all this. I'm like, oh, he's gonna fuck that up. And I was like, yeah.
I think it's so often, and like we talked about this with like the comedy of errors, but it was just like it's so often you'll hear a team, oh, they're the best. They have X amount of kills and all this shit, and then it's every movie is like you meet them the one day they fucked up, and it's just like, can I see them doing well?
I mean,
because I have no proof.
Think of stormtroopers, man. Episode 4 Stormtroopers, Obi-Wan's like, only a stormtrooper could be that precise. And they proceed to miss every shot for the rest of the movie.
You saw those helmets?
Yeah. So he misses, he hits the domination.
And then like he goes to try to get another shot, but immediately the I think maybe security or something closes the blinds.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have a clear shot again. So immediately it's evacuate. So like he cleans up whatever he's doing. I think he calls the handler first to say he fucked up.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you need to disappear.
Yeah.
And so like he drives a bit, you know, and you see that he has a bunch of identities. He's constantly going to Hertz for rental cars under, you know, aliases.
Yep, he has like a billion passports, billion IDs.
And so like he runs away somewhere, and then like he goes to catch a flight and then like switches at the last minute. Goes somewhere else. And then like I thought this was cool, once again talking about like his mindset, because even though he's in panic mode, he is still focused on we planned for this. Yeah.
Well, I remember too, like while he's doing this, when he switched the flights, he saw like one guy who just kind of threw him off a little bit, and he was just a dude wearing a suit, and he's like, nope, that guy could be suspicious, so now I'm going to cancel this flight, go on a different flight instead. Yeah.
And so like he gets to a hotel room, and this is what I thought was cool. Like once he closes the door, he like scans the room, sees that it's secure. Then he goes to the door, places a glass on the handle, and then a cover, like a cover for a plate cover or whatever, directly below it. So like if somebody goes to open the door, the couple hit the thing and he'll be alerted.
Absolutely.
And then he just literally just sits in the corner of the room with a knife on the table.
Yeah.
Because even though he made the precaution to not go on the flight that he was supposed to go, he's still like thinking. And I think that's what I love. Even in this moment of panic and you're supposed to be adapting to things, everything's planned.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't speak for Michael, but I don't know what it's like to be a hitman. But like seeing this movie it looks like this man looks professional as shit. I'm like, yeah, that's what a hitman's like right there. I never for a doubt do I not think this man's a hitman.
Yeah.
Like I think he's been doing this his whole life or whatever. Yeah.
So then that was all chapter 1. Sorry, chapter 1 is in Paris. That's where the hit was taking place. So once he leaves Paris after botching the hit, he goes home to the Dominican Republic, and then we start chapter 2.
Yes.
And so he drives up to his estate or whatever.
His compound. The man has a compound.
Yeah. And so he goes to, before he opens the gate, he sees that there's tracks outside. Yeah. So he abandons his car, at the front gate, and he takes another route. And he just sees evidence that somebody was there that wasn't supposed to be there.
Yep, for sure.
He gets into the house, music is playing or something like that. And like, this is where you see him like the gun constantly posed, prepared to, attack, take down any attackers or anything like that. He sees evidence of a struggle. There's like, once he turns off the music, he sees that there's like blood smeared certain places. And then like, he realizes that his girlfriend isn't there.
Yeah.
And so he immediately calls like the hospital, searching around. He finds out what hospital she's at. He goes directly there, and he finds her room, and her brother is sitting there. Yeah, and he kind of tells him like, what happened.
Yes,
He says first she needs her rest, so don't speak, because she's gonna want to wake up.
Once she hears your voice, she's gonna wake up.
So like her brother gives him the rundown. Basically, like the two people came, a man and a woman, came and. It was a big guy, and
Well, does he get that from him or later on or something?
A bit. Yeah. And then like there was two people came to the house, and it was just like they basically attacked her, asking questions or whatever. But she was able to stab the big guy and escape into the forest.
That's what it was. Yeah. Because I was like, how the hell did she get away again? Yeah. I watched this like a month ago, so I'm like, how did she get away?
But and so like the brother even says like, I know you've been good to my sister. I never asked questions, but clearly they were after you.
Yeah. He's like, no one knows who the fuck you are, man. But like, what are these people coming?
This is back to that like precision of a killer. He just puts his hand on the brother's shoulder and goes, "This, I guarantee you, this will never happen again." And he looks him in the eye, and the brother literally just. Okay.
Yep, for sure. That sounds good.
And then, like, shortly, a little bit later, his girlfriend wakes up, and first thing she says was just like, I didn't tell them anything. Yeah. Like, they tried to get out of me, and she was like, I was scared that I would, but I didn't. Yeah. And then, like, she was able to stab, one of the guys and escape into the forest. That's how she got away. Yeah. Because clearly they were basically coming to clean house. Yep. Like, they were trying to get information to her, and then she was going to be killed. And like this is when he tells her, yes, you were really strong. And you even see then it was just like he's being like obviously vulnerable and software, but not necessarily I said vulnerable. It was like not necessarily vulnerable, in that way.
Mm-hmm.
He was being like soft with her. Like
Yeah.
clearly he cares for her, but he was still kind of cold.
Yeah. Well, I think he's in 100% work.
Yeah.
He's 100% like, because he said this is a job, and to be good at this job, he needs to be in these modes. And like, so he's, even though, because it's clear like he loves her and like he is caring for her and he's upset with this, but he's like, nope, I don't have time for feelings right now. I need to be in hitman mode because that's the only way I'm going to get to the bottom of all this shit.
He mentioned something about bringing work home.
Yeah,
so that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes back to the house. He digs up in the backyard a hole because he's left a safe there.
Yep.
And it was just like you just see a bunch of guns and like plastic,
and like those gold coins, the Continental. You
I
know,
I just love how it's time from the Wild West. You just throw a bag of coins at somebody. They know all the money is there.
Like it's enough schmickles. That's fine.
Well, yeah. So he gears up, and he because the brother also mentioned about the fact that it was two people, a man and a woman, and that they came in a green cab and then just left. Like who does that?
Yeah.
Obviously, it was very much planned. And so once the killer gears up, he just starts driving around looking for that specific cab.
Yep. Yeah.
And so maybe a day or two later or something like that, he finds the green cab, finds a company, goes to the depot, and it kind of knocks on the window late at night because there's just like one guy there.
Yeah.
And he shows his face, and then when the guy goes over the door, he puts a mask on and holds him at gunpoint. And he just goes through the records trying to figure out who was the guy that dropped off and picked up the people who assaulted his girlfriend.
Yeah. Quick time, sir. I meant to mention this earlier too, just when he was talking about rules, and like you mentioned, like how can you be a hitman in the modern world? He mentions earlier how it's impossible with cameras it's impossible to not be seen on camera. So now you just have to be as inconspicuous as possible. So like, depending.
And he also mentioned about Airbnb and why, like, you see why he chose the office, the WeWork office that he was at, because he said Airbnb, like people
they have cameras, they have all that stuff. Yeah.
So like, once again, it is like I said, he's an assassin adapting to the modern world.
It's like, this is 2023, and this is what you have to do to be good at this job. Take notes, kids. I mean, no, don't take notes.
But yeah. So what happens next? So he gets the information from the guy at the cab depot.
Yeah. Well, also, I love with this too is because he gets the information he's looking for a while, and almost as an afterthought, he's like, "Oh fuck, that's right, I need to rob this guy."
That's what I noticed. He's just like once he finds the information, he just starts throwing random shit around, like the cash register and things like that.
Because the guy has his back turned, so this way the guy can be like, "Yeah, this guy came in and robbed me." Not he was looking for a specific information. Yeah. He's just like, "Yeah."
And I think that's the beauty of it, is those little subtle things. Like, they didn't need to be said.
Yes.
At all. You kind of just
picked up on it. Yeah. And like, it's those little details with this movie that were just like, "Oh, that's nice. I like that."
Yeah. So he finds the driver, right? Well, he finds the driver's information, and then he just posts up outside the depot waiting for that driver. And once again, like I said, this is just a job for him. So it's that patience. He sees the driver drive off. He drops his car off somewhere, and then goes to a place where like the cab driver was waiting to pick up, people, and he like, can you take me somewhere? Yeah. And so, like, when he's sitting in the back car, they're driving to wherever destination he said, he takes out his gun, puts the silencer on, and just kind of knocks on the glass of the cab. And the guy sees it, was like, damn it, I just, like, thinking nothing. He was like, fuck,
today was my day off.
So he gives the guy his wallet, and he gives the killer his wallet, thinking he's being robbed. And he's like, no, I'm here for information. Yeah. And so, like, he says, think back 3 days. He said 3 days.
Yep. Yeah.
I said, think back 3 days ago, like, well, who did you pick up or whatever from the airport? And the guy remembers, he was like, oh, from the private airport. He says about the big score or whatever, because obviously whoever commissioned him paid him a lot of money to sit down. Yeah. And so the cab driver named Leo goes through always a big guy and a woman that looked like a Q-tip.
She did look like a damn Q-tip, 100%.
You leave that treasure alone.
I'm just saying that. She was like, oh, that's Q-tip. Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, so he just mentioned that like he picked him up because it was a slow day at the airport, and he saw a private jet come in, so he was like, why not? I'll wait. They told him he needed to drive out to like the middle of the jungle, basically, and he kind of refused at first, and then they just insisted. Yeah. So, and they said it was a round trip. So he drove them to the killer's house, waited outside for like an hour, he said. Then at sunset, they came back. The big man had his leg was bleeding and was kind of fucked up. And he just drove them back to the airport. Thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
And so at this point, like the killer's also telling him a specific place to go to get off the highway, go, kind of this more secluded area.
Mm-hmm.
And after he was like, what do you, that's all I know. I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
You can, take my radio. You can take the car. I don't care.
Yeah.
And this one, I thought maybe he like just let him go.
Yep. 100%.
But nope. Shot him in the back of the head.
Yeah. And I'm like, did he need to kill that guy?
Mm-hmm.
That's like the one where I'm like, did he need to kill him?
And this is what, since we had just done Thanksgiving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And seeing how that killer was like anybody that wasn't involved.
Yeah.
Kind of got a pass.
Yep. Yeah.
And I thought maybe
because one innocent guy in the fucking parade, except for that old guy, and like you're just like, why'd you kill him? You haven't killed anybody else, but yeah.
Well, yeah. So like with this one, seeing that he wasn't on a rampage, and it was very much, I'm only handling the people that did this to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I thought maybe the cab driver would have been, spared.
The cab driver saw his face, etc.
Fair. Maybe that's what it is. It is very much that as an assassin, it's that no loose strings, no loose ends. So.
Yeah.
And so after that, Chapter 3, he goes to New Orleans. And so he gets some supplies. First, he goes to.
I love what he says about New Orleans because it's such. He's like 1,000 restaurants all serving the exact same thing, and they all serve gumbo, etouffee.
Leave that national treasure.
I like New Orleans. I love all that
treasure. Do I need to defend?
It's like everyone's got a po' boy.
New Orleans. Yeah, so he goes to New Orleans, and first he stops by a storage container. Sorry, storage. I guess public storage.
Yeah, the storage container.
He goes to a storage container, and you just see. He says he has like
11 of them or something.
He says there's a bunch across the states, and he has storage containers in 6 of them.
Or something.
Something like that.
He's got a lot of storage containers all over America,
and they are very well stocked with what is it? Just a bunch of supplies, guns, license plates, and everything. So.
Even that little line, he's like, I like to imagine that, storage wars will finally open up my damn thing years from now and be like, what the hell is this? Yeah.
And so, he takes a truck, he changes the license plates, and then he goes and he buys a few things from Home Depot, a huge trash can, some other supplies. And then he goes back on surveillance, and he's waiting outside this office building.
Yeah.
And he sees this woman named Dolores, and he says, Dolores, and he mentions kind of where she worked or something like that. And so you see her have to hit a button, look up at the CCTV TV camera, and then get authorization to go inside. And so he waits there, and he's just waiting there for a FedEx truck.
Yes. This is so terrifying and skilled. The fact that this would happen.
And it's also the simplicity of it, right?
Absolutely.
And so he sees the FedEx guy going, so he rushes over. You see that he puts a bunch of supplies in a recycling garbage,
like a big trash bag.
Yeah.
He's a trash man. He has a sticker for a trash man on the side of this thing. Yeah.
And so he once the FedEx guy get buzzed in, he rushes over and he's like, "Can you let me in?" They ride
like, "Hey, hold the door for me," or whatever. It's so because 100%. I've held the door open for guys like that when I leave places all the time. I've gotten so many people killed. I'm a bad person.
And so they ride the elevator up to the 4th floor, and he lets the FedEx guy go in. And first, what he does is because there's 2 doors into the office that Dolores works.
Yeah,
there's an initial door, and then there's an actual door to the office.
Yeah,
and so that initial door is automatic. You swing it open and it closes on its own.
Yeah,
and so as the FedEx guy opens the door, the killer counts how long it takes to close. And then once he goes closer to the doors and he can see Dolores talking to the FedEx guy. They have a quick exchange, and then as the FedEx guy is leaving, the killer pretends to
he's drinking water.
Take a drink at the fountain, and then the elevator comes very quickly, but all the while he's counting as that door is closing.
That's the only thing. If the elevator didn't come as quickly, that would have thrown off this entire plan. Because then the guy would have.
Also, I did count. It went over a bit. I think it was 8 seconds or something like that.
I didn't count both times.
Well, it was one of those things where knowing David Fincher, it was because you constantly see they'll give you a ticking clock, and then that shit is all over the place. It'll be 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes in real time,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you're watching a movie, it's
Mm.
still going.
Yeah, fair.
So it's just like, that's why knowing David Fincher, knowing how precise he is, I assumed that it was going to be right on the money.
Yeah.
There was a few seconds over, but I think it's because of the elevator
Yeah.
coming when it.
How about you leave the treasure David Fincher alone? All
Yeah,
right.
another adding triggers for the box. But yeah, so he goes he leaves his garbage can outside the office, goes inside, says hello to Dolores.
Yeah.
Immediately takes her laptops, and then at gunpoint forces her to go into her boss's office.
Yeah.
And her boss is Hodges,
or
the lawyer / the handler.
Did Dolores recognize him? I don't remember.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It did seem like it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And so after that, we get so he has Dolores zip tie Hodges' hands to his chair, and then he zip ties her up in his like private bathroom.
Yeah.
And then so he can have a conversation with Hodges, and it's just basically Hodges like, what are you doing here? Like you should be, you have all this money from work, like you should be hiding somewhere across the country where they can't find you.
Yeah.
And then like you find out briefly, he mentions that like Hodges was the one that told him to leave law school to get into this line of work. Because this was like Hodges' kind of side hustle.
Yeah.
And so like clearly they have a history. There's a back and forth, but Hodges is like just not giving away information.
Yeah.
We see that
So Hodges the whole time calm and cool. He's like, hey, like, look, this will be handled. Like he's making a mistake, but he'll come and see reason. He'll get out of here. Like, don't worry, Dolores.
And then he, with a nail gun or whatever, he kind of destroys Hodges' laptops. So it's just like, because I know that you wouldn't. He says the information is here somewhere. Yeah. Because I know you hate the cloud, so obviously you have like physical copies of something.
Because he's trying to find the assassins that came in to try and kill him and hurt his girlfriend Magdalena.
Yeah. And so because Hodges isn't talking, he puts 3 nails into his chest, and it was like, you'll bleed out slowly. Yeah. And then he puts his phone, types in 911, doesn't call. He was like, or you can, you've given me the information you need. Yep. You can get yourself help.
Yeah. And this whole thing, he's like, again, he's narrating to himself. He's like a man Hodges size.
Blah, blah, blah. This is going to go back to his precision, where it's like Hodges kind of falls over because there's 3 holes in his chest.
Yeah, because like there's the blood, but the blood should like let it well. So he would be drowning on his own blood, but it should still take like the 3 minutes or whatever. And every time I'm like, oh, once he gives me these precise facts and figures, I'm like, oh, that's right. He's going to fuck up again.
And so like as he's going through, is like a non-smoker his size at his age should take him about 6 to 7 minutes or something like that. And this Hodges ties with he's like, fuck.
Yeah, he's like, you fucked up again, my friend.
But we do, like I said, we do see him not overreacting.
Yeah.
So like
anticipate, don't improvise. Wait a second, I wasn't anticipating this, therefore I'm improvising.
And so he brings in the trash can first, then he goes to Dolores trying to figure out what you're gonna. And this is where she goes. You see her like, I'm not gonna beg for my life. Like I know how you work. Basically, the killer makes people disappear. Yep. Yeah, that is his go-to.
He's like the dude.
That's why you see the trash can there. Like he's gonna make you disappear. Yeah. And so she says, I have children. Like they won't get my insurance if I disappear or whatever. Yeah. And then she goes.
Well, she tells him, she's like, I have the information.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you, but just make it look like a natural death or an accident, so that way my kids and everything can get all the money. And it's like,
but once again, she just lets him know that she can get him the information.
Yes. Yeah, that's the trade.
And so he puts Hodges' body in the trash can, and then they walk out. They're on the elevator, and like 2 more people come in as they're going down to the lobby, and
Dolores is a little uncomfortable. She's a little nervous, to say the least. Yeah.
And a guy notices the huge recycling bin and goes, "You need help with that body?" And she just laughs.
And she's like, "Ha!" Like, way to not be chill, Dolores.
And so, what happens? Oh, so they drive around. They get to her house. She briefly tries to escape, but to no avail. Yeah. Nobody's home. They go into the house, and because she has physical copies of all the data. And he just gets a card with an address, because that's basically all they get, right? As to keep it really discreet, they're just getting the card with address. And I think there was like coordinates or something on the back of it. And then so now that he has the information, they go to leave the room,
Mhm.
and like she's ahead of him. She's
Yep.
about to walk down the stairs, and he just kind of breaks her neck.
Yep.
And just she falls down the stairs.
So it looks like she just fell down the stairs
Yeah.
and broke her neck. So he held up his part of the
Mhm.
bargain, which, and she died pretty quick and painless.
Yeah.
So as it stands, not bad. Yeah.
So it's like we got what? This is death number 3.
4. The Dominatrix. I'm including
Yes.
the
Oh,
Dominatrix.
okay.
Dominatrix, Leo, Hodges, and Dolores.
Yeah.
At 4. Yeah.
Okay. So now that he has information,
Chapter 4.
chapter 4, we get to Florida.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we get like I said, it gets a little meticulous, where it's just like, or it gets more formulaic, where it's just like, arrive somewhere,
Mhm.
get supplies,
Yeah.
surveillance, attack, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And so like he's in Florida, he gets to the Brute's house and he notices him because he has a limp. His girlfriend had mentioned that
Mhm.
and also Leo had mentioned that his leg was messed up.
Yes. Yeah.
And so like he gets supplies. He just gets like some ground beef.
Yeah, we seize the pit bull, and it's barking at everybody. So he
Mhm.
gets ground beef, sleeping pills,
Yeah.
etc.
And then he the Brute goes to the club with his friends,
Mhm.
and he just mentions that like steroids and the fact that this
He's
guy
a
is
big
huge.
dude. All of his friends are big, strong dudes. Yeah.
And that's what he mentions like when he first drives up to the house, because I think he gets a house. No, he just goes into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he sees him hanging out with his friends and goes, "I hope it's not a sleepover."
Yeah.
Because he's like, if he's not alone, this is going to be down there.
Oh, yeah, he also said, what was the other thing too? He was like, these guys make you think there should be a waiting period for creatine.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. First of all, creatine's very natural, very good.
But yeah, so he follows the Brute to a club that he's going out with his friends, and he comes back and he's a little drunk, and he's like, "It's perfect." So the Brute goes inside. He feeds the dog a bit of the ground beef with the drugs in it, the sleeping pills. Sorry, and then he just kind of waits. The Brute calls his dog in. I think her name was Diva,
something like that. Yeah.
And then he just kind of waits for the Brute like to kind of go to sleep.
Yeah.
So he goes into the house. And he not really breaks in, but he gets into the house.
Well, remember, he narrated that size of that pit bull means it should be this dosage for the sleeping pills. So keep in mind, he narrated facts again. So we all know what happens.
He said she looks a little big, so I think he gave her a bit of extra.
We all know what happens when he narrates facts and says it should be this. Anyway, so he goes in the house.
Yeah, so he goes in the house. Diva is sleeping, so like perfect. That's right on cue.
Yeah.
And he hears the shower running.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So he's going to try to catch the Brute off guard.
Mm-hmm.
That does not work.
No, it doesn't. Which the Brute's skilled too. Like the fact that, because the killer's professional as shit.
Imagine you're literally going against your contemporary.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
All of us have a certain set of skills.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, no, true.
So I think that's cool too, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the Bourne Identity.
Yes.
In that same way, where like he had to basically imagine going up against yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or slightly less.
Yeah, but still, it's like somebody with maybe not your specific skill set, but same mentality. Like,
yep, 100%.
So yeah, they have an epic hand-to-hand. Like
it's great. They were breaking through doors, everything.
The Brute talking shit. He was like, "You broke into the raw motherfucker."
Yeah.
But eventually, because I think the Brute's able to get the upper hand because he gets a gun, and you see the killer like kind of running through the house, closing doors very quietly.
Yeah.
And then you think the Brute's gonna get the upper hand on the killer, but he doesn't. He gets shot. Well, he gets shot through the door.
Yes,
because I think he wasn't expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shoots him in the head, dead.
Yep.
And this is when Diva wakes up, hears the commotion, and starts chasing after the killer. So the killer has to run.
Yeah.
And this is what I say: Diva, even though she fell asleep on the job, not her fault. Possibly the loyalist dog I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because like the killer makes it out the front door, and Diva bursts through a glass.
Yeah, she's like, "Fuck
the
that,
glass
you
of
don't
the
die." Yeah, like absolutely.
Like he just barely makes it over the fence that she can't get over.
Yeah,
and then he tosses a Molotov cocktail into the house. The house burns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're done with Florida
for sure.
He's taking care of the Brute.
He just needed to give the dog like 2 more sleeping pills, but hey, whatever. Chapter 5.
And then in chapter 5, he arrives in New York. And
also kill 5.
That was killed. Yeah,
that was killed 5. Yeah.
And so we arrive in New York,
like a suburb of outside of the city.
Yeah. And so now he's after, her name is the Expert.
Yes.
And
AKA Q-Tip.
So same thing, he gets and this is where you see him like he didn't go to, I guess he doesn't have a base in New York. So he has to go to like some a gun dealer or something like that, rather than having a storage unit or something.
Yeah.
But
he's also very surprised that she's like, "You're living here. This is your job, and you live in like a regular neighborhood." That seems silly.
Yeah. But yeah, so he follows her, and he does eventually. He was like, Leo is right. She does look like a tooth.
Yeah, a Q-tip. Yeah,
So she goes to a restaurant called the Waterfront, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is where you get a breaking down of his rules.
Yes.
Like normally he possibly would have waited or something like that, but for some reason
he's like, nope, everyone needs to see my face.
Yeah, so he goes into the restaurant and sits at her table.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe did she have like a gun underneath the handkerchief or something like that? I thought that's what he took from her.
It's possible, or maybe like some kind of knife or something like that. It could have just been a knife.
Okay,
yeah,
maybe that's what it was. Yeah. But yeah, so he sits at her table, kind of disarms her,
mm-hmm.
and then like she just recognizes what it is.
Yes,
and this first of all, possibly one of the dopest monologues of the year.
Yes, it was a very philosophical, awesome conversation.
And so like she wants everybody. I think it's because they're in this line of work, so mm-hmm. this is a possibility. Mm-hmm. Like you're in a line of like killing people, so it's a possibility like somebody's going to come after you.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like she doesn't break a sweat. She orders a flight of whiskey.
Yeah.
And
she's like, look, I'm about to die. I get that. Can I get some drinks?
Yeah. And
she's even trying to get him to try shit
mm-hmm.
too. Yeah.
And then she tells the story of the hunter and the bear.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
yeah.
But that's what I thought you mentioned hunting.
Yeah.
And so like the hunter he goes out into the forest, he finds a bear, shoots it, misses,
mm-hmm.
and the bear goes to him. At this point, I can either feast or I could sodomize you or something like that.
Yeah, or and fuck you in the ass.
And what's your choice? And the hunter chooses life.
Yeah.
So the next day, the hunter comes back with a bigger gun,
mm-hmm.
goes into the forest, tries to shoot the bear and misses.
Yep.
And the bear goes, you know the deal.
Mm-hmm. Hunter goes back for a third time
with a fucking bazooka.
Yeah.
And he fires the bazooka at the bear. When the smoke clears, the bear's standing there like, you're not here to hunt, are you?
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny.
It was. That's it.
It wasn't even told as a joke, but even you kind of see the killer kind of almost crack a smile.
Yeah. It's funny.
Because it is he's even though it is this line of work, he's sitting there with a colleague.
Yeah.
Right. He's sitting there with possibly the only few people in the world that could understand.
Yeah.
His mindset, because even she mentions she was like it was just a name on a list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
And it was just like sometimes you got to deal with civilians. That is, she said she did not agree with the Brute's methods to finding information from his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's what it is.
What are you gonna do?
I got paid for this shit. I got to do it.
And so like I said, this is where you see this mentality where it's just like you don't see people as people are just names on a list.
Mm-hmm.
And he said earlier, in the in chapter 1 in Paris, he goes, if you never come across me, count yourself lucky.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he wouldn't hesitate. He doesn't care. And so they finish up their monologue. She finishes up her monologue. She finishes up dinner, and he just walks her outside. And she continues talking, and then like I think he's trying to find a place to
murder.
And she falls down.
Yeah.
And she goes, help a lady up. Yeah. And he just shoots her in the head.
Yep. And it was like, damn, that's cold-blooded.
And then he goes, trust no one.
Yeah.
That's the only way to survive this world. And you see that she had kind of concealed a knife. Yep. And so when he went to go help her, she was probably going to take him out.
She would have stabbed him. Yep.
Yeah. So now he's, all done, but he says, fuck it. And then because he still has the client's name, he figured out who the client was.
Yeah.
So then chapter 6.
Mm-hmm. 6 kills? Yeah, chapter 6. Yeah.
Chapter 6, he goes to Chicago.
Yes. Yeah.
To basically confront the client.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I said, this is where I really enjoyed him incorporating modern day technology.
Ridiculous how easily he did this.
Yeah. So he was just like, he sneaks into the building that the client lives to kind of to scan the fob system.
Yeah, because he goes into the garage, the fob system,
and then like he goes to his gym and is able to like just sign up for a free trial or whatever.
Yep. Ridiculous.
And and then he's able to copy his key card to get into the building.
Yep. Because he sees where the client puts his stuff in the locker, so he breaks in the locker, gets the key fob, copies it. Yeah.
And then he mentions it was like this is what I liked what he said. He was like, there's no need for a Trojan horse nowadays when Postmates exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, shit.
You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, because he literally just kind of walked in because, he ordered something. People are not going to, double check.
Yep. Yeah.
And so, like, he makes his way into the client's apartment. Mm-hmm. The client's on the phone, and he just sees him pointing a gun, and he was up, hang up. So he hangs up.
Yeah.
And then this is where the killer is like, do you know who I am? And you can literally see, because he was like, I want to see the guy's eyes. That's what the killer had mentioned before. Yeah. And you could see in his eyes, the client, he was like, I don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me.
Yeah.
And then he hands him the card with the address that was given to the killer.
Yeah.
and he kind of pieces it together. And he was like, "Oh," he was like, "Well, when I got a call from Hodges that the hit was botched,
Yeah.
he kind of gave me an option to like clean house.
Yeah.
Basically, sever all ties, make sure that it, no liabilities, and
Yeah,
like that this
basically-
doesn't come back to me.
Yeah, 100%. It was Hodges was like, this way it won't come back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And the guy was
So-
like, sure. Okay.
And then that's basically the killer's learning like the client didn't send anybody after his girlfriend.
the
It's-
client's just a rich asshole.
Yeah.
That's literally it. He's just a rich asshole who wanted to kill one guy.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
it's like I don't have any beef with you. Somebody told me like this is a service that was provided with this.
Yeah.
So
He's like, I don't know how this shit works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so like the killer just goes, basically we're cool for now,
Mm-hmm.
but if anything changes, I just showed how easily I can get to you.
Yep, exactly. And you're going to die a very painful death.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then so he just leaves. He goes back. In the epilogue, he's back in DR
Mm-hmm.
with his girlfriend. She's healing up,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
movie just ends.
Exactly. I think earlier there was like he transferred all the money to like.
Oh yes, that was that brief.
Yeah.
That was brief. He was
Yeah,
just like,
super brief.
Yeah.
Like, there you go, do that. And yeah, and that is The Killer 2023 with Michael Fassbender. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We always like to revisit our original rankings. Mike, you gave it a 4 out of 5. Are you thinking you're going to stick to it? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna bump it up to 4.5.
Okay.
I really loved it. I think, and it was like the parallels between filmmaking and being just being a professional in your field.
Yeah.
As the killer was, I think it was just very cool to see.
For sure. For sure.
And like I said, even though this was basically kind of a comedy of errors, or like him fumbling, and
Yeah.
having to improvise, it didn't. The way he executed it, it didn't seem like
Yeah.
improvisation. It seemed like he had anticipated this stuff. So
It's true.
this was just okay. Execute plan B6.
Exactly.
Like
It could have just been a
versus
bunch of
being like,
contingencies.
I feel like that's what you see so often. It was like fucking, you see them scrambling
Yeah.
to come up with a new plan, but it was like he never wavered.
Yep, for sure.
And I just really love the performance, really love the storytelling in this. So yeah, I'll bump it up to a 4.
Nice. All right. Personally, I'm going to stick with a 4 out of 5, but yeah, great movie. I definitely want to watch it again, and I'm sure I will sometime in the near future. So definitely check it out on Netflix. It is a movie that I would say if you're cool with this kind of subject matter, you're going to really like this movie. But again, thank you so much for listening, everyone. We are the Meddling Kids. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at 2meddlingkids on Twitter and Instagram, or you can email us at 2meddlingkids@gmail.com. Mike, if they want to check out you.
On Instagram at Days from Legendary.
Wonderful. And if you'd like to reach out to me, I'm at EdHunt77 on Twitter and Instagram, and hunt.comics is my Instagram handle. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you next week with a brand new movie. See you soon.
Bye.
Funky